What's up people, this is WWW and we have a new theory in Horizon. Breath of the Wild from a story perspective can drive the biggest fan crazy, and that makes someone like me pretty scared. One of the most debated things about this game is where it fits in the Zelda timeline, and as a person that loves stories, it worries me that the developers might not care that much about the story in this game. Or it might just be the complete opposite, where they truly care about the story overall in all of these games, and have done something genius that none of us fully understand yet. And I have something I'm about to tell you that might just blow your mind a little. Keep in mind that this is just a theory, so I will probably by accident overlook some plot holes this creates, but hopefully you'll get a brand new perspective on the story in Breath of the Wild after this video. If you don't know about the Zelda timeline, basically it splits into 3 alternate timelines after the events of Ocarina of Time, depending on the outcome of the game. So why is it so hard to find a placement for Breath of the Wild? It must be simple to find the most logical connection and see where it fits best, right? The problem is that this game makes references to events from all 3 timelines, making it almost impossible to know exactly where Breath of the Wild fits in the big puzzle. In a memory in the game, Zelda refers to Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time, both of which are canon, no matter which timeline, but it also, in the same memory, refers to Twilight Princess.
Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight.
So that must mean it must be the child timeline we're talking about, right? But then it also has Ritos and Koroks that were only found in the Wind Waker and that timeline. So what do we do? How does this make any sense? One question I like to ask is exactly how these 3 timelines work out in our story. Are they parallel universes that coexist at the same time? Or is just one of them canon, while the other 2 are what-if timelines, describing events that could happen if Ocarina of Time had a different outcome? If Breath of the Wild truly fits into the story in some way, there has to be a reason why all 3 timelines are referred to. And I think I might just have a potential answer, or clue, to what might just be going on here. I believe all 3 timelines exist at the same time in parallel universes. It's not just one of them that is canon, all of them are canon. All possible outcomes do happen, and they become their own timeline, aka universe, that exists together. But still, even if all events are canon in their respectful timelines, Breath of the Wild can only land in one of these 3 timelines, one of these 3 possible universes. So how can it refer to all of them? This is where the memory I mentioned earlier comes into place. Take a look at this.
Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight, the sacred blade is forever bound to the soul of the hero.
The sacred blade is forever bound to the soul of the hero. This is the line I believe explains quite a lot. I believe this line is directed towards not just this timeline, but all 3 of them. Think about it, if your life choices create parallel universes with each possible choice, like you become a dentist in one timeline and a football player in another, it would still be you. You just took a different life path one of the times. In Zelda, just because the timeline split, it doesn't mean Link is a different soul. It's still the same guy. It's still the same soul. It's still the same soul of the hero, coexisting in 3 different realities. Yes, Breath of the Wild takes place in one timeline, but it is able to refer to all of them because Link's soul exists in all 3 of them, and is forever bound to the blade, aka the Master Sword. Link and the Master Sword is a link to the other timelines. We know Zelda is speaking to the voice in the blade, which presumably is Fi from Skyward Sword.
The Master Sword. I heard it speak to me.
So it's no wonder why Zelda knows what the Link has done in the alternate realities where he exists, because Link's soul is forever bound to the Master Sword. That is why she can refer to Twilight Princess, even though it might be a completely different path in time, Because, thanks to the Master Sword, she knows those events took place somewhere in an alternate history that very much exists just like the one she's in now. Could this be the explanation? The explanation to why Zelda is able to talk about events from all timelines? Because the soul of the hero, aka Link, exists in all three of them, is bound to the Master Sword, and acts as a link to all universes. But even so, if that is correct, which timeline could Breath of the Wild fit in? It is commonly believed it fits in the Downfall timeline, mostly because it fits with the post-apocalyptic story we've seen throughout the timeline. I, however, am starting to lean towards the adult timeline, the one where Wind Waker takes place, and I have several reasons why. Since we have now talked about why the other timelines might be represented, we need to talk about how they are represented. Two of them are mostly referred to through words, like the child era with Twilight Princess, but the adult timeline have physical evidence throughout the game. First of all, the adult timeline is the only timeline to feature the Rito tribe, which we also see in Breath of the Wild. This is also true for the Koroks, and the Koroks are described to once have been the people of the Kokiri Forest, that took this new form due to the Great Flood in the Wind Waker. Already there we have physical evidence rather than evidence through words. Because why else would the Koroks look the way they do? And why else would the Saurus evolve into the Rito? But furthermore, we can find skeletons of whales across Hyrule, which could indicate a land previously being underwater. There is also a lot of rock salt to find that could come from the ocean in the Wind Waker, and going to the edges of the map, what do we find? An endless horizon of water, a seemingly endless ocean. What if this is the very same ocean from the Wind Waker, the Great Sea? But then you might ask, why is Hyrule above the ocean when it was beneath the ocean in the Wind Waker? This is where it gets interesting. What if Breath of the Wild takes place in a new timeline, in which the Link in the Wind Waker is defeated? A timeline where Ganondorf is not stopped by the king and actually acquires the Triforce. This is clearly what he wants, as in the game he states, "Give Hyrule to me," as he attempts to touch the Triforce. And if a timeline happened where he actually got his wish granted, he surely wouldn't keep his land underwater. What if Ganondorf acquired the Triforce, rose the land of Hyrule up from the depths of the ocean, and this is the very same land we play in Breath of the Wild? Hence why the land is surrounded by the ocean. What if this eventually led to the war that happened 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild that we keep hearing about throughout the game? What if this is a fourth timeline? It truly is something to speculate about. To me, this can actually make quite a lot of sense, unless I have overlooked some important plot holes. But I would love it if you could share this video around, so as many people as possible can see this theory and give their opinion on it. So make sure you tell me your opinion in the comments below as well, of what you think about this theory. Do you like it? Do you find it plausible? A like rating will also be greatly appreciated, as it helps the video spread so more people can see it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.